In the heart of Rockford, Illinois, lives are being transformed every day thanks to the compassionate work of Remedies renewing lives and supporters, such as the Winnebago County Community Mental Health Board.
Remedies provides a safe haven for individuals and families escaping domestic violence. Everyone who walks through these doors is met with dignity, hope, and a path toward healing.
But this life-saving work doesn't happen on its own. It takes commitment, community, and critical funding support.
The Winnebago County Community Mental Health Board supports critical therapy and advocacy services at Remedies. These services are often the first step towards safety and healing for survivors, especially those who have nowhere else to turn.
Survivors of domestic violence often carry deep, long-lasting trauma. Our counselors offer trauma-informed care that meets each person where they are, emotionally, mentally, and physically. The grant also funds life-saving advocacy work. Our advocates walk alongside survivors through court hearings, protective orders, housing support, and emotional recovery.
Healing doesn't stop at the shelter door. Our team educates the community, trains professionals, and partners with schools to prevent future violence and spread awareness.
So thank you. Because of the Winnebago County Community Mental Health Board, survivors in our community receive the support they need and deserve. Your ongoing support ensures that healing is always within reach.
Today, we want to honor just a few of the many survivors whose lives have been transformed by the therapy and advocacy services funded by this critical grant. These are their voices, their journeys, their strength.
When I walked into Remedies, I felt lost, exhausted, and full of questions. I had just left my ex-husband, the father of my youngest son, after enduring domestic violence. This was my third marriage, and all three had been abusive. I didn't understand why it kept happening to me. When my husband cheated, I tried so hard to make the marriage work, but when it failed, I blamed myself. At home, everything was fractured. My oldest son had moved out because of my ex, and my middle son had withdrawn completely after how he was treated. My ex even caused division between my middle and youngest sons. I didn't see, at first, just how deeply the abuse was hurting my children and me. In therapy, I learned what domestic violence really is, and how it had shaped my life. We talked about safety and began unpacking my childhood. I grew up without a father and with a mother who neglected me and my siblings. All my life, I wanted my children to have a present, loving male figure, something I never had. That desire influenced my choices in ways I hadn't realized. Through counseling, we focused on my strengths and resilience, and on identifying the support I did have. I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder and began taking medication. I learned to recognize the signs of anxiety and developed coping skills. I started replacing the harsh, negative thoughts in my head with kinder, more positive ones. As I kept going, I began to see change. I maintained my full-time job. I filed for divorce and stayed firm in my decision, even when my ex tried to manipulate me through our son. I could see his tactics for what they were. I bought my own home, and my relationship with my children began to heal. We grew closer than we had been in years. Now I can identify red flags and green flags in relationships. I've built healthy boundaries and communicate more openly. I'm breaking the cycles that once controlled my life. I am not just surviving anymore. I am moving forward, stronger than ever.
I first came to Remedies as a walk-in client after experiencing domestic violence with my former partner, who is also the father of my daughter. I have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and bipolar disorder, and I take medication to support my mental health. Since starting services, I've made many positive changes in my life. I've worked hard to strengthen my support system and to not let anything stand in the way of my goals. My former partner is now incarcerated due to his actions and the history of abuse. Even while working a full-time job, I stayed committed to every service offered to help me reunite with my daughter. In therapy and advocacy sessions, I've learned about domestic violence, healthy and unhealthy boundaries, family dynamics, grounding techniques, self-care, the impact of domestic violence on children, trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, and cognitive distortions. I was able to obtain an order of protection for myself, and later, I added my daughter to it. Today, I have full custody of my daughter, and we are back home together. I continue to work on myself and make positive changes every day